I think mankind was born to be an explorer. Just saying. I've always thought that since I was a little girl. When I was younger, my brother and I used to go out into the forest and we were always looking for bugs and looking for frogs. We were looking for caterpillars. We were looking for cocoons or chrysalis. I mean, we explored like you have no idea. One of the most amazing memories I ever had. It was on a Thanksgiving day. It had snowed like 12 or 14 inches. Huge snowfall that day. And we asked my mom after lunch, dinner, whatever you want to call it, probably about 3 or 3:30 in the afternoon, if we could please go out into the woods because we spent our life out there anyway. And we got all bundled up and we went out into the woods. And we knew this trail where deer walked, but we almost never saw them. We would see deer spoor. For all of you who don't know better, that's poop on the ground. But anyway, we would see it and we knew that there were deer that would walk up and down that path. My brother said, you know what? It's kind of the right time of day. So why don't we hide under these bushes and see what happens? So we got way down underneath these bushes. We kind of buried each other in snow. So just, our little faces are peering out. And sure enough, down the trail comes an entire herd of deer. I mean, moms and fawns, yearlings actually. Some of them still had the bare remnants of their spots. And I'm serious, they walked within probably 12 or 14 inches of us right in front of our faces. It was awesome. It was so beautiful. Then one time, I was in northern Missouri with some friends of mine. They were going to go deer hunting, and they said, "Hey, there's this really cool deer stand because I do know how to shoot a gun, and we'll you can you can get a deer because they ate venison all winter long." So I got up in this deer stand, and sure enough, I saw like four different awesome deer that day. But I didn't shoot any of them because I just couldn't do it. So they would walk right under me. I got to see the amazing part of watching them, but I didn't shoot them. Oh man. I think man has loved exploring his environment, and people have loved exploring things like caves and there, of course, we know about space exploration. There are so many amazing things to explore. Today, I want to invite you to give your child an affection for exploration. Whatever that is, whatever your child's curious about, because everyone isn't curious about all the same things. That very thing, you need to foster that, nurture that, develop that, and help your child to have a strong affection for exploration. He can start off with his very own world. And let me tell you, babies, and I do mean long before they're toddlers, they love to explore their world. They'll be feeling all over your face, sticking their hands in your mouth, up your nose, in your ears, all over your body. They are exploring their world to the best of their ability. Once they can start pulling up or crawling around, they're exploring things, they're opening cupboards, I told you the story about my son in the belly slide with Crisco oil across my kitchen. If you haven't heard that one, I guess you need to go back and watch a couple episodes. But anyway, he was exploring what was fun. Kids love to explore textures. Kids love to explore hot and cold. I think it's why they're drawn to fire. So with my kids, instead of, bawling them out constantly about don't touch that, don't touch that, don't touch that, I would heat up a pan of water, certainly nowhere near boiling. Please pay attention to what I'm telling you. I would heat up a pan of water till it was reasonably hot, put it in my hands until I knew they could handle it. I would just take their finger and I'd say, look, and I'd have them touch the water. Their hands were a little more sensitive than mine. They'd freak out. And I'd show them how the water would cool. The heat dissipates over time. And I would have them put their hands around the edges of that pan so they could feel the radiant heat and show them how it really quickly dissipated. And because of air exposure, that very quickly even the water itself would cool. See, that's exploring an element of chemistry or of physics. They didn't even know what that was, but I did, so I let them explore. We're going to go back to that toddler. They're going to explore everything in your house. Okay, they're going to explore those really cool little holes in the wall that we know can hurt them, which is why we often have to put a plastic plug into an electrical outlet so they don't get hurt. They're going to explore cords. They're going to explore everything. They're going to explore climbing. They're going to fall sometimes, and they're going to explore jumping out of their crib and jumping on the bed, and they just explore everything they can. They explore their own bodies. Okay? Parents, they're freaking out. Kids are like somewhere between a year and a half to 3 years old. Kids, and most especially little boys, tend to masturbate because, oh my word, what do you know? They have this really awesome plaything right there. I mean, hello, what did you think they were going to do with that thing? They're used to messing around with their fingers and their toes and their ears and their tongue and their face. That doesn't seem odd to them. So try not to make your child feel horrifically ashamed about that. Just tell them, that isn't something that we do in front of anybody else. And actually, that isn't something that we do even in front of, like your mom or whatever. But I understand you're really interested in how your body works. And yeah, that's kind of cool. So you have to just let kids be explorative of things. It's really perfectly all right. Of course, they're very explorative of foods. They put certain foods in their mouth and they're like, ugh. They don't like it. They don't like the texture. They don't like the taste. They don't like the color. They just don't like it. They don't want that. But they have to explore a lot of different kinds of foods. Give them that spirit of exploration. Hey, man, I've never had this before. I've never had Indian food. I've never had Thai food. I've never had Greek food. I've never had whatever. Let's go check this out. If we all hate it, okay, we learned. But at least we explored something new together. It was totally fun. So, okay, have an adventurous, explorative spirit. Now, let me tell you, when it comes to things like space exploration, most people can't afford to buy, I don't know how much it is. I think it's like 1.2 million right now. You can actually get a ticket and go into space. Oh my goodness sakes, it's not a joke. Thank Elon Musk for that. But most people aren't going to get a chance to do that. You know what though? You can go onto the internet and you can actually sit in a spaceship and you can hear the sounds and you can get the sense of things, and you can look at pictures of the stars and the planets, the Milky Way, big waves or bodies of things in the universe. You can teach your child to be very explorative of space because space is incredible. You can get a telescope and let them see certain things, or go to a place that has a really decent telescope in an observatory. Teach your child to be very interested in the exploration of a forest, and take them at various seasons of the year to the exact same park or nature center and let them see what's going on so they can explore the seasons and the motions of nature and what's even in your very own area. Okay, teach your child to be a student or a enthusiast of the exploration of the human body. I actually got my grandson a copy of Gray's Anatomy. This is a book for, it's not just a TV show. This is a book for medical doctors to study the in-depth processes of anatomy. He loves that thing. I mean, he's a teenager. He's been reading that thing for a long time. He thinks it's totally cool how certain parts of the body are processing. Allow and develop in your child this spirit of enthusiasm for exploration. Okay. Now, let me tell you one that I personally think is really very fascinating, and that is the exploration of minutia. In other words, you're giving them the opportunity of looking at things through a microscope. So you can get them predetermined slides, they'll send those to you, or you can start taking things in your own world and put them under a microscope and go, wow, look at that. Because it is absolutely astounding when you start looking at the different kinds and forms of cell structures. You can teach your child to be interested in the exploration of crystals. And what I mean by that is crystalline shapes, like taking a string, putting it in a jar with a hypersolute of sugar and water, and watching basically sugar candy, but they're really sugar crystals form, and salt crystals, ice crystals, snow crystals. So I have a number of books by a photographer who back in the 1800s developed a cold filming system so he could get actual photographs of snowflakes. and I love snowflakes and the real pictures of them. And then I actually like to reproduce them when I crochet. But yes, to give your child the opportunity to do exploration of things one can't normally see with the human eye, whether that's through a microscope or through looking at crystals as they develop. There are just so many interesting things in science and in nature, and frankly, in life. Now, what if your child is kind of a, quiet, calm person? Okay, so help them to explore great authors or great artists. Honestly, when I used to take my sons to art museums, it was hilarious because my one son was like dragging me by the arm, trying to hurry up and get out of there. He just wasn't necessarily all that interested. My other son would sit down on a bench in front of a painting and peruse that painting, I mean, for 10 or 15 minutes. And he still loves art to this day. And he's quite a prolific painter and an extremely creative person. My other son is a really great artist. He's a really awesome creative person, but he doesn't necessarily go to art museums very often. My other son goes to art museums around the world. All I'm saying to you is explore different kinds of expression so that your child can start to learn and develop who they are. They don't know everything they're interested in. You've got to give them exposure. Okay? Encourage your child to explore his or her own creativity, whether that means you play a lot of different kinds of music and let them experience and learn what they like. So that means you might play classical and you might play rock and you might play Gregorian chants, you might play uh, nature oriented. I actually like that kind of music, orchestral music with all these sounds of nature mixed in. Play all kinds of things. Play 40s jazz. Play things for your child. Let them explore the world of music and find out what they really like. Get them a couple of instruments. Seriously, get them a kid's xylophone, but get them one that has decent sound. Don't get them junk. Get them a kid's piano so they can hear what that is, or a simple keyboard. Get him a recorder or a small flute. Let your child explore what he or she likes, what he or she is interested in. Give them that sense of adventure and give them a deep love for and affection for exploration. I also want to encourage you. Give them a sense of exploration in finding fun things to do close to home. So I'm going to tell you a couple of things that I used to do with my kids. We would go to the park and climb trees. I already told you we would go to the park and roll down the hill in the grass because that was totally fun. We would get into the river, we would take off our shoes and squish and feel the mud and feel the rocks and feel the whatever. We would go fishing. That was totally a blast. And we would literally inspect these fish, different kinds of fish, their scale development, how their gills were, their coloration, their fins. A lot of times we would let them go, but we're just looking at what kind of fish were in the river near where we lived. We would do things like go to the museums that were as close as they could get to us and see what was available. We would go to the library, especially when they had things like this one time they had a folk music festival for a couple days in a row. And so guys were playing banjos, and this one woman was playing the bass, and a lady was playing a mandolin. There are a lot of things around. Even farmers markets are really awesome to take kids to. Of course, we know about the zoo. I've already told you how much I love the zoo. Give your kid a sense of adventure in exploring even their own area. I mean, stay within an hour's drive from home and go see everything you can go see. Go do everything you can do. Make it your challenge that once a week, or at least every couple of weeks, you're going to go do something in your own area. Explore where you live. Give your child a deep affection for exploration. It's a blast, I promise you. And it will really make their life more fun, more full, and probably yours too. So have fun exploring something new with your child soon. My challenge for you today is, have I taught my child to be an explorer, to love the process of exploration? I want you to help your child develop a great sense of adventure in exploring the world. It really is fun, I can tell you that. Thank you so much for joining me today. You may find additional information on our paintabeautifulpicture.com website. Additionally, you may watch me on Rumble, and you may also listen to a podcast on Buzzsprout or Spreaker, all under the name Paint a Beautiful Picture. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. You may subscribe, and if you are interested in receiving notifications, please hit the notifications button.